Hey guys, Rex here. We're out here with the Glock 40, Model 40, 10mm, and we got the Holosun Vulcan on here, and I just kind of got a 25-yard zero, and I said, hey, before I record, I'm just going to see where my left and right is on that clay pigeon out there. It's about 110 yards, and the first shot, I put the chevron right over the top of it, so the pigeon was like right on the bottom edge of in between the two bottom points, and I drilled it on the first shot, but I didn't record it. So now I'm going to try to do it again. Howdy guys, Rex here. We're taking a look at the Holosun HS507C-X2 ACSS. Now this is a holographic sight that is designed for the pistol shooter who might not always be in flat range conditions. Although you can overcome some of the difficulties in holographic sights on pistols through a lot of training, there are certain situations that you're not really going to have a lot of training experience on. If you get knocked off your feet and you're in a very, very strange position, laying sideways on the ground, maybe something's laying on you or restricting your arm movement, you might have a hard time under pressure to quickly find where your center aiming point is. So that circle that's around the Vulcan is placed in such a way to where at arm's length, when that center aiming point can get lost in there and you can't even see it through the window based on a non-flat range condition, you can actually kind of see, you're going to catch a glimpse of that outer circle. You're going to immediately, intuitively be able to bring you right in on center with your aiming point. So that's something that it really cures a lot of potential problems. Of course, if you're used to shooting a holographic sight on a pistol without the circle and you're on flat range conditions, you can get very quick with these as well. Some might even argue that you can get even more quick than open sights using a sight like this. However, in my experience, there's a lot of times Murphy's Law kicks in, and it's nice to have that outer ring kind of fill up that real estate where you might normally get lost and kind of point you back home where you need to be. And so that's a feature that really pushed me over the edge into really wanting to actually take a look at these things for the first time more seriously. I've used them before, but like I said, when you're out there in the real world and you get in a stupid shooting position, sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult to find. You might find it, but you're not going to find it as quickly as you might need to. And so this feature, in my opinion, is really snazzy. One of the other really cool things about sights like this is that they're parallax free, which means that unlike conventional open sights, we really have to focus in on that front sight post and then kind of go back and forth between the target and the sight post. When you're using this, you can focus right on the target and the aiming point is nice and crisp, even out at longer ranges. It is a little bit weird if you spend a lot of time on open sights like I have to switch over to a red dot. That's something that your eyes used to focus in back and forth on, but it actually is a favorable kind of difference. When we took this out to the range, we had absolutely no discernible zero shift using the sight itself to actually cock the pistol. So that was nice. We did get a pinpoint zero at 25 yards, and then we were shooting at 100 yards and utilizing the chevron aiming point. The very bottom tips of the chevron were about right on at 100 yards, and we're actually able, on the very first shot, to be able to drill a clay pigeon, which we could not duplicate again to catch on film. But I was able to still hit the 12-inch steel gong, which if you watch this footage, you can actually see the bullet flying through the air into the target. The bullet flattens out and then bounces back off the target, which is readily visible on the high zoom footage we captured. Check it out. Oh yeah. Dude, that's crazy. Let's look at it again. One of the other things about holographic sights, particularly the Holosun, it's actually pretty well proven. These are actually very widely used, even amongst very serious folks nowadays, and it is something, with the new feature, we have the solar window on top, which can keep it charged for a very, very long time. I do believe this one does feature 50,000 hours of battery life if you go on setting 6. Well, that's a long time. The sight is switchable between the chevron and the full ACSS Vulcan reticle. So with a tap of the button here, we only have two buttons for controls. We have a plus button and a minus button. The plus button is going to get this thing turned on, and you can also increase the brightness. The minus button will decrease the brightness. If you do want to turn off the outer circle, you just basically hold down the minus button until that outer circle goes away. You wait a couple seconds and it turns off. If you want to turn it back on, you just hold it again and it'll come back on. And so that's a pretty cool feature. This does use a CR1632 battery with the side mount battery tray. So that little screw there, if you see this battery tray, and screw this slides out and you have access to your battery there. And the other end has a small screwdriver, which is designed to be used with the elevation and traverse adjustment settings. It does have a memory function and a motion sensor. So if you're not using this, it's sitting perfectly still, it'll actually go to sleep. The second you touch it, the motion detector will flip it back on. And this is actually pretty reliable technology now. It does work pretty darn well. Like maybe back in the 90s or even when this stuff first started coming out, some of the stuff was fussy. But now these things have been through quite a few evolutions. They've really got these things to be very reliable. And that's a good feature as long as it works consistently. It does have 10 daylight settings and 2 night vision brightness settings under manual mode. It does come included with the Picatinny mount. If you're going to run this on an AR or a shotgun, it is IPX7 waterproof and it is parallax free. So when you get the Vulcan sight, it has all the instructions right on the box, makes it pretty simple to use, gives you some basic zeroing information in terms of what to expect out of the reticle and drop values. For example, here, if you're using 9mm ammo and you zero at 25, the bottom of the chevron will get you on about 100, and the bottom edge of the upper part of the apex of the chevron will get you about 50. Likewise, you have instructions for the 40 cal, 45 ACP, 5.56, 308, and 7.62 by 39, which is nice to have. It also gives a little demo of the concept of the reticle here. In order to get kind of an initial zero on this without spending a lot of ammo, we did a virtual co-witness zero. So I'm just using my sights here. I bring up my sights until they'd be about right on. And I just kind of use my spatial perception and intuition to see, because the front sight is obstructed when I bring the sight down, right? But by feeling muscle memory, I can just bring that down to about where it'd be, and also keep an eye at about when that chevron, which is not in focus at the moment, when that chevron would be on. We found that out of the box, the reticle was quite a bit to the right and quite a bit high. And so we would have burned up quite a bit of ammo trying to figure out where to get this thing even on paper. And so now it's going to be pretty darn close with the sights on this factory Glock, which should get us right on target relatively quickly.